I didn't like being a woman. I didn't like being perceived as a woman. I absolutely despised my body, and just, I was under the impression that if I were to, quote, become a man, that the problems and the self-hatred that I felt would disappear.
And did it?
I think I convinced myself for a couple of years that it did. Because I was a female taking testosterone, I got a lot more energy. I felt that I could do more, I was more motivated. So I did feel, if we were having this conversation in 2015, I would tell you that transition saved my life, because I believed that. But you can only pretend for so long, and all the problems that I was running from with transition were still there. And so even with cross-sex hormones, even with the surgery, I was still very, very much struggling with self-hatred, and I'm afraid that cutting your breasts off doesn't remove that.
So, as I'm speaking with you, I can hear that your voice has changed, or you have a deep voice. I don't know what you sounded like before. Can you outline the ways that you've been permanently physically changed?
So with cross-sex hormones, some of the permanent changes would be, like you mentioned, my voice. I've developed an Adam's apple, and my vocal cords have thickened. I suffered some head hair loss, lots of body hair growth. Taking the testosterone for as long as I did, which was just over 4.5 years, has led to bladder problems. And obviously the surgery is irreversible, so I'm almost completely numb on my chest area.
You had your breasts removed?
Yeah, I got a double mastectomy when I was 26.
What was that? Was there a single moment that you realized I made a grave mistake?
I wouldn't say there was a single moment. It was a progression of realizations that when I first started the cross-sex hormones and the depression was still there, I thought it's because I haven't transitioned enough, so I'll get the surgery. And then I got the double mastectomy, and the depression and self-hatred was still there. So I thought, okay, I'll get the hysterectomy, and then I'll get the phalloplasty, and I'll get everything that I need to get. But fortunately for me, after the double mastectomy, I kind of had that realization where I was like, what if I do go the full way and I still hate myself like this? I didn't need hormones or surgery, I needed therapy.
And how do you respond to those who say, well, some of the stuff is reversible? You can change your mind.
I wish it was reversible. I wish that I could have my voice back. I wish that I could feel my chest. I wish that I didn't have bladder problems. I wish that everything that transition did to me was reversible, but I am living proof that that's not true.
Thank you very much for your time.
Well, you've got severe atrophy, which is where you get shrinkage in your genital area because of the hormones. You've got no sexual function.
Can you talk more about that? What happens when one takes the hormones? And you can be detailed and graphic if you want.
So, for a start, when you take the estrogen, for a male, what it generally does is it generally softens the tissue, and in doing so, it limits the ability to get erections. So a lot of trans women have extensive erectile dysfunction, and then after that you have the atrophy, which is the shrinkage of the penis itself. So the skin doesn't change, but the actual shaft bit does shrink, and with that, you get other side effects with a lot of sexual dysfunction, urinary issues because everything's smaller, and this is all kind of weighed up against me as to, this is why you should transition, because you're going through all this anyway, and if you
as in get bottom surgery.
Yeah. So it was kind of sold to us like, well, you've kind of already got like atrophied genitals anyway, and you're already living full time as a woman anyway, and it was like, why not? And then they just convinced us to the point where I was like, okay, I guess that's me, because as one of the psychiatrists put it, I was an ideal candidate for gender reassignment surgery, whatever the fuck that means. And basically what that meant was, it was like really powerful brainworm, like I'm not just trans, I am the most verified trans ever. I am true. I'm like, even though the doctors think this is the right way, there's no room for doubt, even though I was the one expressing the doubt.
So we're here at the LGBT Alliance conference in London. You just spoke. There was one part where you said regret is not enough of a word to describe how you feel about this process.
That's
and can you talk about how you've physically changed to a point now where you cannot be who you were before?
So the surgery that I had is irreversible. You may have heard...
In the surgery you had, or...
I had a penile inversion with scrotal graft, which is where they remove the testicles, they invert the penis, and they drill a hole in your pelvis to mimic a vagina. But, you know, so it is, it's mimicry, it's not an actual vagina, it's an inverted penis, and that has a lot of problems itself. Yeah.